Annihilation Scourge Alpha Issue 1 heads to the negative zone, where a group of farmers have been slaughtered. The soldiers wonder who did this as King Blaaster arrives, saying once again the Balurians are headed for war. The king knows only one fool is insolent enough to cross him, asking what happened to the farmers, but before he can get an answer, the dead farmer attacks his men. The king kills it, wondering what Annihilus has brought to him. Days later in Mao's spire, alien soldiers are attacked by the infected Balurians, who say that they are undying as their tentacles grab at the soldiers, brutally killing them as Annihilus himself defends his people against the horde, telling his men to give no ground to the Balurian scum. Annihilus continues to kill the aliens and even his own men as they become infected. He finally bests the horde, telling his surviving men that to be captured by the enemy is weakness and becoming part of the Scourge is weakness. He knows the Scourge make empty promises of unending life, but Annihilus promises death, and he keeps his promises. An unknown ship soon arrives and Annihilus begins firing his cannons at it, causing the ship to crash. Annihilus and his men go to the ship and find it belonged to King Blaaster, who emerges from the wreckage and attacks, thinking himself a fool to think that he could ever find common ground between him and Annihilus, so they could fight in the coming war. Annihilus says that the king's men already attacked him, but he reveals it wasn't his men. They had been taken by something that comes for all of them. The king thought that this was Annihilus's doing, but soon saw it wasn't, revealing a group of captured infected Annihilus soldiers, telling the villain that his men are unharmed, but infected. The soldier speaks an unknown language and Annihilus knows that they are infected with something not from their dimension, and Blaaster thinks it has something to do with the dimensional gateway Annihilus is building in secret. Annihilus stabs one of his men, asking them what happened, and the infected alien says that he is coming. Blaaster kills the being as the other infected alien says that their new master offers gift of life without end and they should join him. Annihilus wants the name of this new leader and if he wants the negative zone, but the alien says that he doesn't want it, he wants everything. Days later, Annihilus and King Blaaster join forces and fight through a new horde of the Scourge, despite Annihilus killing any of his own men whom are wounded or try to escape. The villain notes that the planet's Maslow beasts have also been converted and King Blaaster thinks that the battle is lost because of it, but Annihilus says that nothing is lost until he says so. They fight through the horde, but there are too many of them, forcing the king and Annihilus to retreat, forcing them to blast off from the planet. Annihilus's men wonder if they should deploy the Psi Bomb, and after learning a few 100 million will die, Annihilus says that their sacrifices will be witnessed by him. The bomb is launched at the planet and the whole solar system is wiped out. 2 weeks later, King Blaaster has captured more of the Scourge, telling his men that they come from the Cancerverse and that they want the people to join them and infect them, but they will continue to fight for the negative dimension. Blaaster kills the men as more Scourge ships arrive. The Scourge is led by a person who smashes into the ground as Blaaster tells his men to prepare to fire on the Revengers. Leaving his men, Blaaster joins Annihilus in his bunker, where he is setting up his gateway device. He tells Blaaster that he needs to test the device and wonders if the Revengers' leader is with them. The king doesn't know, but they must evacuate the planet. Annihilus refuses to leave his home world, but Blaaster knows that they want the gateway and they could use it to get help from the positive zone. Annihilus says that the portal might work thanks to Reed Richards' tech in it, and if it doesn't, it will pull the universe apart. With no time left, they activate the device as the Revengers try and enter the bunker. Blaaster stays to defend the gateway as Annihilus tells his men to take off in his ship. The ship heads to the portal and Annihilus tells his men to fly through the refugee ships in their way. The ship does, crashing through them and escapes through the portal as the Revengers' leader arrives, too late to kill Annihilus. The ship makes it into the positive zone and the heroes of the universe are alerted to it. Richard Rider, meanwhile, finishes throwing up after a long night out, washing his face as Cosmo tells him he didn't throw up into a toilet, he threw up into the ventilation system of the station they are on. An alert sounds out and Richard heads to the bar, getting him more to drink as the bartender says that they are all about to die thanks to a ship heading towards them. Cosmo says the bartender is right and Richard should probably do something, so putting on his helmet, Richard tells the barkeep that he will be drinking for free once he gets done with this. Heading outside, Richard tries to stop the ship, stopping it just before it hits the station. He tries to see if anyone is inside, and soon the weapons begin charging, so he smashes his way in. Inside the ship, he finds it a mess, and soon is confronted by Annihilus, who falls into his arms, saying they need the Nova Corps' help. Richard says the Nova Corps are dead, and Annihilus says then so are they, away, as back in the negative zone, Blaaster kills Annihilus's men as they try and stop him from destroying the gateway. He blasts the gateway, but the Scourge's leader, the Sentry, stops him, saying that nothing can stop them, and after he's done with the negative zone, he is going home to his reality. Annihilation Scourge Alpha Issue 1 was a really awesome primer and really the first chapter to the new Marvel Cosmic event, putting the Sentry, one of my favorite characters, back into the spotlight as a villain. I really liked how Annihilus was still a total bad guy throughout all this book, killing his own men, sacrificing refugees and entire solar systems just to get away, but also he's turning to the good guys for help. Heroes like Richard Rider's Nova, who doesn't really want anything to do with the villain since he's busy getting drunk. I'm very much looking forward to this event and also finding out what exactly this Sentry is, since he appears to be different from the one we saw at the end of the Jeff Lemire series, since that was a combination of all the different Sentries together. So is this part of that? Is this a new Sentry? Really intrigued to see what's going on there. I'm going to give this issue an 8 out of 10.